I can't use my mouse. There we go. Nope, I don't want to open that. There we go. Okay, so now I got my mouse. So I come over here. Good. All right, so first things first, as with every class when we come in, first thing that we should do is take our jump drive somewhere, plug our jump drive into the Macs that we're sitting in front of. If we do not already have those Macs on, please turn that Mac on. Please select the Apple so we're all working on the same side, because if you select the Windows side of the boot, you will not, the boot camp, you will not be able to do any work because Dreamweaver's not there. Once we have that done, then we will come over to the DW. We will open up Dreamweaver. And when Dreamweaver opens up, you'll have your welcome screen. Okay? And from your welcome screen here, it'll just, as you can see, opens up recent items, create new, see some features. As always, because your computers have gone to sleep and they're just waking up, you won't have anything there that you can pull up. So, what we need to do is we need to establish the file path once again to our local root folder. Okay, and our local root folder is where? On your flash drive. So we need to do that. And so essentially we'll have to go up to Site and we'll have to create a new site. Okay, so you go Site, New Site. The new site that we will create. There it is. Unnamed site 3 comes up on mine. Yours might be unnamed site 1. You could name this My Class Project. You could name this CAP 135. You could name it Chapter 4. Doesn't matter. This computer's going to forget about it anyway. If this was your home computer, you would name it whatever you would like to name your site folder. You would only have to do this once and you would be done. I'm going to name this Chapter 4. Okay, after we name it Chapter 4, the next step, what we have to do is we actually have to establish the connection to that local site folder. So on that second line on the far right-hand side, you'll see the folder there, and this is what we will do to browse for the folder where these particular files are that we want to link to. Okay, so we'll click on it, set the file path. One of the things we have to remember is that where we want to go is we want to go to our jump drive. All right, when your Finder window comes up, your jump drive will be listed under Devices. It'll come up either as Kingston or whatever your jump drive name is. Select it. Okay, and then one of the things I'd like you to do tonight is, as opposed to going and selecting all of the lesson files, let's just go ahead and let's just select the path to folder 4. Okay, so you'll have lesson folder 4. Let's just select lesson 4.
All with one file.
Just select, just select lesson 4, and then you just have to select choose. And when you select choose, it'll be all set. We'll click save. It'll take a second to create the cache, okay, and for all the files that are in there, and then there you go. And what you'll see now is you'll see a folder for lesson 4, right? And it should look something like this. You'll have how many files do you have? Yeah, is this what yours looks like?
3.
Yep. You have 3 files?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a couple of images and then layout. So you get exact. Okay, good. So you got 2 images. Notice that the 2 images that you have are within your image folder. So there's an image folder that's set up. So it's proper housekeeping. We like that. Remember, we like to have like files and like folders. If we have more than 1 or 2 CSS style sheets, we'll keep those in a folder called CSS. Right? If we have a bunch of images, we'll keep those images in a folder called images. So there you go. So this is made up right now of 3 particular files. 2 images and 1 file that is called layout finished. .html. Okay, good, good, good. Everything looks great. Absolutely good. I like that. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. First things first, what I'd like you guys to do is I'd like you to double click on layout finish.html. And let's open that up and let's take a look at it. And as we take a look at this, here's what we have. I'm going to move this over so we can see more. All right. Okay, good. So everybody's got the same thing. Let's take a look at it in design view. I'm going to keep my view in split. Okay, you don't have to keep yours in split if you don't want to. But I'm going to keep mine in split as we jump back through so everybody can see what it is that I'm looking at. If you take a look here on the, as you look up here at the right-hand side, this is actually the Green Start intro page, or the home page for this company called Green Start. This particular page is, as it says, finish.html, meaning that layout-wise, this is the way the layout looks. This is what they created. Okay, this has all been created through cascading style sheets. Okay, all right. Now, one of the things that makes this class difficult is also one of the things that makes the class kind of cool. And it's the fact that we have the ability to do so much. Okay? It isn't like, you know, we can only do a couple of things and put something there and put something on the other side. You know, I mean, we really honestly, in this day and age, have the ability to do a lot of cool things. And as I spoke of before, one of the things that we're going to do, or we're going to try to do, is we're going to try to learn as much as we can from working from something such as this. This particular document that we're looking at right now is basically a static HTML website that is put together with fixed pixel width. Okay? All right? Basically meaning that this particular one, I think it's like 950 wide, and it will always be 950 wide no matter what, right? This is 950 pixels, set 950 pixels, 950 pixels. Yeah. So what we are going to do is we are going to work with this, and we're going to learn some basics and learn how to use some stuff, and then what we're going to do is hopefully we're going to be able to graduate on to something that is going to go from being basically static, all right, to something that we're going to refer to, or fix, I should say fix, something is fixed, to something that we're going to consider responsive. Okay? But before we can go and do that, you need to understand some basics. Those basic understanding of CSS, how to maneuver through CSS, understanding what changes you're going to make, where you're going to find that, and how it's going to go. All right? Because here essentially is what ends up happening. This document right here, about 6 years ago, maybe, yeah, right around about 6 years ago, the people at Adobe decided to go through and take a look at as many websites as they could. And they came up with this simple understanding that really, to be honest, there's, when you look at it, layout lines, I mean, there's like maybe 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 really, you know, they're all the same type of layouts. So what they decided to do to make it easier on people like you and I is they decided to put those particular type layouts set up as templates already within the software. Okay? So you didn't have to start with a blank sheet of paper, which is very difficult to do, especially if you're just starting out and you don't know what you're doing, you know? So anyway, so they gave you a couple of pre-formatted pages that you could work with, okay? Now, being the fact that we're hence moving to everything being responsive, that's no longer the cause, and you know, we don't necessarily need all of those, and what they've done is they've taken a few of them out, and they only give us a couple now, right? But that's fine because what we're going to do is we're going to go out, and I've got 3 or 4 responsive layouts that we will use later in class that I'll supply. I'll put them up on Blackboard, you guys can download them and take a look at it. And then we'll go in and we'll make the changes to those. But first, we're going to learn how to walk, and then we'll learn how to run. Okay? So this is it. And this is really good because what it's going to give us the ability to do is it's going to give us the ability to go through a lot of different things that we can take a look at. So first of all, one thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to come up here to the top left-hand corner. I'd like you to hit the live view, and I'd like you to look at this live. And when we look at it live, you can see that, first of all, if you take your cursor and you move it over green news, that we do have some interactivity involved. We do have rollovers. We do have some stuff along those lines. So it's kind of got some of the real basics that we like to work with. Okay, and so there is some stuff that we can learn from this right here. As you can see that right there. Oh, it's got a absolute position div that's involved right there for our logo. Okay, because one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that when working with an individual document such as this, you can't place an image on top of another image, can you? If I go put in an image and an image is in place, I can't put something on top of that, right? Because the image is taking up the place there in HTML. You can't do that, right? You do have the ability, and we will have the ability to use layers, or what we refer to as, divs or containers, okay, dividing containers. That will give us the ability to do the aspect of layers. Easiest way to explain. How many people have worked in Photoshop? So we all know that in Photoshop, when we start with a blank document or a blank canvas, right? That first piece of canvas is layer number what? Okay, layer number 1. And if we put something on top of it, that then becomes layer number 2. Exactly. So that's the process, right? We can put stuff, and so the more stuff that we put on, 0 to 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as many as we want to do, which gives it, that's what gives it its power, right? Okay, so that's awesome. Same kind of concept here, although we won't get that, we're not going to get that crazy with a whole bunch of layers, but it'll give us the ability to do that, okay? So we'll use the div container or the divider container to be able to place images on top of images, okay? All right, so there you go. So there's a live view of it, all right? Pretty, it's a very, very standard, very rudimentary, simple type document, okay? As I said, the process, what I would like to do, or the process would be to create this, turn this into a template, and then recreate each individual document from that template by simply then just going ahead and inserting your content right there, okay? All right, I'm going to take this out of live view. I'm going to scroll over here for just a second, and I'm going to come into the split view, and from split view I want to take a look at a few things. You take a look at the left-hand side here, you can see all of this code, all right? All of this particular code that's inside of this document, all right? Okay, this is actually what is controlling the look and the feel of the page you see on the right-hand side. This is CSS. These are your cascading rules right here. Okay? Everything right in here. From your body tag all the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep wow. All the way down to the top nav that you see there. Right? Okay. Now you'll notice that within there there's some grayish type code. You see that in a whole bunch of words. That's comment code. Comment code doesn't do anything. It's just basically this comment code that you see through here basically is going to do nothing but specify kind of what, give you a general idea of what the rule is that it's working with, or what the rules are that go along with that particular rule that we have. Right? This kind of explains what this does. So it works out pretty good for you, because if you don't really understand, you can kind of take a look there and you can see. Okay? Now, take a look. As you can see, it's a very simple layout that we have on the right-hand side. Nothing too fancy here on the right-hand side, but yet you can see that we've got from line 8 to line 138. So call it about 130 lines of code, right, that go along with it to create what you see on the right-hand side. All right? Okay, so next thing I'd like you to do, I'd like you to go to Window. From your window, I would like you to open up your CSS Designer. And when you open up your CSS Designer, you can, what's the word for that? You can say detach. There probably isn't a word for it. Is undock the word? Did you undock it? Detach it? Interesting. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, pull it to the middle there so you can see more. And you'll notice that underneath your window for all resources, you have a all resources that says style, right? We don't have something that says, style.css or layout.css or default.css or anything along those lines. It just says style, correct? Select style for me from underneath all sources. And as soon as you do that, down at the bottom, okay, you'll see all the rules or all of the tags that we have that are being used for this particular layout. Okay? All right. Now, one of the main reasons why we see this source as listed as style is because this particular or these particular rules are still part of this particular document. Meaning that this is what we refer to as an internal style sheet. Okay? And we know it's an internal style sheet because as you can see right here, this is all within the document. All the rules, everything's still within the document. If it was an external style sheet, it would be externally attached by one line of code as opposed to 130 lines that are actually within the head tag. Right? Not a big deal right now. It doesn't necessarily matter. But there you can see it. Okay? So here, if we take a look here, you can see that we've got all the individual tags or all the individual selectors that are here for everything that is listed here. It's all the same. Everything falls right in line. Okay? And all the individual rules that are being applied to those. Okay? So anytime we need to find something, or anytime that we would need to access something, that's where we would do it. All right? So take your cursor and put your cursor right in the middle of the word main. It says insert. You can just close it out. But one of the things that happens, just so you know, is that these are magnetic windows. All right? So if you got two windows open and they get close to each other, they'll link together, and next thing you know, you'll have like one huge super window. You'll notice it happens every once in a while with your properties inspector or whatever windows that you have. You can just close them out, don't worry about it. All right, so here's what I want. So take your cursor and put your cursor inside the word main, where it says insert main heading here. Okay? And when you do that, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to notice that your code navigator comes up, correct? You get your little, your helm, the helm. Yep. Click on that for me if you would, please. If yours does not come up, it's because you're still not. So click that, so just click it out of that. Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right. Okay. If by chance you can't get your helm to come up, make sure that you're no longer in live view and that you've clicked back into either split or design view. All right, so select that for me, and I want you to see what happens. As soon as that happens, look what I want you to take a look at what you see comes up. Okay, and when you select it, you'll notice that. Okay, fine. First of all, we are on finished underscore, layout underscore finished.html. We're all on the same page. It's a good start. Okay. Next, you can see that what it'll do is it will cascade down to the actual rule that is being used where your cursor is. Okay? So your cursor right now is technically inside a heading 1 tag, right? Correct? Inside of a class called content, which is inside of a class called container, which is falling inside the tag of the body. Okay? You don't necessarily worry about the header, section, footer, aside, article, figure, because yes, it is inside of an article, but it doesn't necessarily matter for the time being. All right? But that's where your cursor is. So there you go. Good, good. All right? So we follow that all the way down. So my point being is this, is that if we wanted to make a change, for whatever reason it was, to the way that this particular text, where it says insert main heading here, if we wanted to make a change to that, okay, where would we make that change? We would make that change by making the change to the heading 1 tag inside of the content inside of the container. That's what we would do. All right? That would give us the ability. We want to change the color, we want to change the font, we want to change the size. That's where we would make the rule. That's where we would make the change. Okay? So your code navigator is going to be really handy to be able to single out the rule that needs to be edited for us to get the end result that we are looking for. Okay? All right? Okay, so we've got that, and you'll notice that if we go down to the next one, insert subheading here, we'll do the same. You can see that we get something very similar. Okay? Now, first of all, one of the things that we will do is we will set individual rules for these individual, set, whether it be a class or whether it be right to the tag itself, we will set rules. So these will be either very specific or very general. Okay? And when I say specific or general, I mean this. I can go in and I can say every heading 1 is going to look like this. Every heading 1 that I have on my whole entire, on the whole website, everywhere that I use the HTML tag H1 for heading 1, it's going to be blue, it's going to be Verdana, it's going to be 150% of the size of the default font. Okay? I can do that. And then anytime you go in and you highlight text and you put a heading 1 tag, it's going to look like that. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Right? I can make those changes. The other changes I can make, or I can make a change such as this. I can set it to where it's only going to be heading 1 tags that are within the class content. Okay? Basically meaning that it would be only any heading 1 that is inside of the class content. Okay, so I am now, right now, where my cursor is, inside the class content. Okay, that is what that is particularly called. Okay, that this particular box that we have in here, content, the class content. All right, so anytime I want to do that, it would be there and I can make that change. But yet, if I came over here to where it says insert caption here on the far left side, down at the bottom, and I put in a heading 1, it would not look the same. Okay? Meaning that it would not have, it would not be blue. I didn't actually specify the rules that I would change for the heading class 1 content in there, but say maybe green. So, okay, so overall I've got the blue and I've got, Verdana and 100%. If I just put the class content, the ones that are within here, and I change that to green, all right, then everyone that was inside there would be green. But yet, if I was to put something here, it would not. Okay, it would go back to the original of all heading 1s. Understand that? What I'm basically saying is that we can make it very, very specific to say, hey, you know what? Only the heading 1s that reside here will look this way, or we can make it very general to where all of the headings look like this. here's what you need to keep in mind. When you make something more specific, right? Okay, as opposed to something more general, what is going to, what is, what's setting the precedent? What's going to supersede the other? What are we going to see? All right, this will always override this. Okay, the general will always be overridden by the more specific. Okay, understand that? So the more specific you get will override what is general. Okay, and we'll take a look at this as we start to show and see, because really when you think about it, they're two different tags. But it's kind of hard to see it that way if you don't really understand what we're doing, but we'll show you. All right? Okay. So this is a general layout. That's the general CSS that goes with it. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to jump in, and what I would like to do is we will start to create a very similar layout to this. Okay? So we can go in and make the changes that need to be made so we can see how that actually transpires. How we go from the pre-formatted layout to a somewhat finished product such as what you see here. Okay? All right. There we go. One of the things that I'm going to say is that one of the things that we talked about in this class is one of the things that you guys have already done is you've already done what we refer to as your information architecture, right? Put your layout out there. Starting off an index page. We're going here, 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 and here. Here are my links. I'm going to this page, this page, this page, and this page. Okay? We have all that set. Right? I've got it on paper. It's written in stone. It can't be changed. Right? It's just the way that it is now. You're locked in. So, anyway, the next step after that is you really do have the ability to take, it's not, I don't know, is anybody drawing grid paper anymore? Is everybody just freelance? I used to draw everything out of grid paper. You know, little check boxes, little movie check boxes. But I used to draw everything out of grid paper. Everything. Everything I did. Right? But what you see now is what we spoke of last week. More people just go into Photoshop and just start throwing stuff together because you can basically go in and say, hey, Photoshop, I want a web layout of, I don't know, whatever size, 1024 by 768 or, whatever it would be. And you can go in and just start building it that way, and some people do it. But one of the things that I used to do is I used to physically draw this out on paper. Because you know what, you're not always at your computer, you don't always have your computer. Or my case is at that time, I didn't always have the software. So, because I didn't have it at home at the time, and I was always working, I had it in the office, but I couldn't, I didn't have the laptop situation that I have now, where it's on the cloud, whatever. So I draw a lot of stuff on paper. So you can do that. So, but one of the things I wanted to say is that basically, what you have is the more that you draw out on paper, the easier it can be for you to get all of this stuff started and working. And the process that we use, basically called a wireframe. Okay? You're wireframing out what your index documents look like. You don't draw everything out. You just draw what your template style is going to look like. It's called a wireframe. And basically, if we start looking at chapter 4, they show you a nice little wireframe right there on the very first page. And basically just tell you, hey, that's not a bad way to start. Draw some stuff out on paper and build from there. After that, they kind of get into some of the web basic designs. And if you take a look and you read through this, because I'm sure you all did over the past 2 weeks, probably once, maybe twice, for some of you, I'm sure. That's all right. It's good reading over coffee. I like it in the morning. One of the things they do is they just discuss what we've already discussed. What you need to kind of think of when you put this together. What do you want? Who's your audience? What's your tone? How you're going to convey your information. Simple stuff along those lines. Basic stuff. Purpose of the website, audience, so forth and so on. And then they get to talking about some of the stats that we kind of looked at. Did we look at stats? I don't think we did. Did we look at any stats along the lines of what? We all know what's the number one browser everybody's using. Chrome is the new number one browser. And then they start to talk a little bit about, okay, fine, so now that browser, what's the screen resolution that everybody's using? Because we don't really necessarily want to think about, once again, remember we talked about this before, that we're looking at a shotgun blast, right? We're not, this isn't a rifle shot, this is shotgun. We're trying to hit as many people as we can, because literally anybody who has our URL can automatically pull it up. And we don't know what they're looking at, we don't know what that end user is using, okay? So one of the things we try to do is we try to set what we refer to as the smallest possible screen resolution that we have. Basically saying this, is I'm like, and you guys, some of you might remember this, some of you may not. Does anybody remember tube monitors for your computers? I mean, God, that was so long ago, but literally, and we had these, first generation video cards and all this stuff, where basically we had a screen resolution of 640 by 480. Basically meaning 640 pixels across, 480 pixels down, but that doesn't really matter because everybody can scroll. But that was what we shot for. That's what we wanted to build it. Because we knew if we built that everybody else would be able to see it, because everybody else would have a larger screen resolution, okay? Which means that, if you had 800 by 600, then everything would be fine and you could see it, right? Now, does everybody understand it's not really an inverse relationship. Does everybody understand the inverse relationship between screen resolution and size of images? And basically what I'm saying is that the larger the screen resolution, the smaller the image. Does everybody understand that? I've got a 100 by 100 pixel image. It's going to look huge on 640 by 480. It's going to look smaller on 800 by 600. And it's going to look even smaller on 1024 by 768, right? Because I got more pixels. I got a bigger screen resolution. So which means that the boxes are literally smaller, which means that 100 by 100 boxes are actually smaller. Everybody understand that relationship? Okay, just so as we go on. Because essentially what we're trying to do is understand what the size is that the smallest screen resolution is, so we can build for that. That way we know what we need. Okay, all right? Now you'll get numbers like 0.5% usually. I don't know. I think the smallest, and we can take a look, but I'm pretty sure the smallest now is we've been building in 1024 by 768 for quite a few years, right? So I'd be surprised if that's even still listed as the actual smallest, or the smallest that you're safe to build it, but who knows? We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But that's one of the things that we have to look at. So you got to look at it. So that's why it's good to go to, as it states right here, w3schools.com browser stats. And take a look at some of those browser stats so you can see. All right? It's kind of cool. And then if you notice on page 100, they briefly get into speaking really quickly about a responsive web design, is what we've talked about here in class, which basically gives the ability for everybody to be able to see it on, depending on the device and the device capabilities, whether you've got a phone, whether you've got a laptop, whether you've got a desktop, whether you've got a tablet, whether you've got a phablet, whatever it is you're looking at it on. We want to build so it will understand and say, hey, listen, this guy's pulling it up and I just detected that he's on his iPhone, so I want it to look this way, right? Hey, I just detected this guy's pulling it up on his desktop at home. I want it to look this way. Okay, so that's kind of what we're trying to do. All right? And that's a responsive web design. Now, one of the great things about responsive web design is what we're going to do is we're going to use something called Bootstrap, which is going to take care of all of it for us. So we don't really necessarily have to worry about it. Okay? We will find individual, how do we want to say this? Responsive templates that we can use, where we'll be able to go in and change the imagery, we'll be able to go and change the look and feel and the information to create and make it our own, but it won't lose its responsiveness. And it saves us the ability, here's the thing, and I don't know if I briefly talked about this, but we used to have to build a lot of mobile websites, right? Okay? And a mobile website was strictly nothing more than a website so somebody could see it on their phone. Didn't have actually all of it. It was just, depending on who you built it and what you built it for, it was a streamed down version of your regular website. didn't have all the bells and whistles, maybe didn't have all the information, maybe just had some of the basic information. But one of the things that it had is it had the ability for you to, if you wanted to go to the full website, click on it and go to the full website. One of the reasons why we did this is because, we weren't always 4th generation 4G or 3rd generation or whatever. So basically, we would run into a lot of bad pockets where we would get no signal or connectivity whatsoever. So if you were out riding in your car and you wanted to look something up, take spin forever and ever and ever, and you never get the information that you want. At least up here. You know what I mean? So essentially what we started to do is we started to build scaled down mobile websites with less information that would load faster, that had pertinent information that people wanted, contact phone numbers, simple stuff along those lines. But what you ended up doing is you ended up having to buy 2. You ended up building 2 websites for everybody. So now, you don't really have to do that. People still build mobile websites, and they still have the reasoning for it. But one of the main reasons why we don't necessarily do is because we do have the ability now, responsibly, to take whatever it is that we want and make it adjust to an actual mobile device so they can see what we want them to see in the proper size to fit their screen, so they don't have to scroll over or whatever. And generally now with the 4th generation, 4G and all that stuff, that the download times for all the stuff, or the network capabilities across, and Wi-Fi and everything is good enough to where you don't necessarily have to really about it. So that's one of the reasons. So what we try to do is we try not to. Okay? I try not to. I try to talk people out of, and one of the things I do is I show them, first of all, what can be done by building it responsibly, and almost everybody says, okay, then I don't need it. So, but anyway. All right, so it gets into creating a page design. And it talks a little bit about what a page design should be and what you should include. And it's some basics. Header, footer, a horizontal navigation, vertical navigation if you want, and your main content. Those are probably the main 5 things that you are going to see in just about every layout that you ever look at. And if we look at the one that we have situated here, you can see that this particular layout that we have, scroll this guy over, we have we have our header. Okay, selected the header. You see the blue box that's around the header that's on the top. Okay, we'll have a horizontal navigation, which is right here. There's a horizontal navigation. Okay, we also have a vertical navigation, which is down the left-hand side. We also have a footer. Okay, which is accidentally got switched over there for the time being. And then we also have our content here, which is our main content. So we have, in this particular layout, everything that they're discussing. Okay? All right. So there you go. I got when I went and inserted that caption in my green start went. There we go. Sorry. There we go, and there's my footer. Yeah, I accidentally deleted it and moved it over. Sorry. Now she's back. So now we're good. So there you go. So we've got everything there on this particular layout, which is good. And that's generally what you end up seeing. Now, once it gets past there, if you wanted to add something down the right side as opposed to the left, or if you wanted to move it from the left to the right, or if you didn't want to use any vertical navigation whatsoever, you don't have to. One of the things you have the ability of doing is just doing a basic, real kind of basic, drop-down navigation, right, that comes horizontally, which is what you see a lot of anyway. You've got one main navigation going across the top, all right, and through here, and through some magic and through some bells and some whistles, we can do a drop-down navigation, which will give us the ability to have home. If we hover over home, it'll drop down, and there may be buttons below that. You've all seen drop-down navigation, correct? Okay. So one of the great things about drop-down navigation, which we'll spend a class on, is that it gives us the ability to put a multitude of information, okay, at a finger's drop. I mean, it's right there. You don't have to, because you might have one document that leads to 3 other documents, okay? So if somebody wanted to get to that one document off of that other document, they may have to click there and then click there, because you didn't have enough information. You didn't have enough room to put the information on your home page. Drop-down menus are really good at being able to put a multitude of information and making it really what we refer to as a one-click shop, right? Boom, get right to the information that you want, right? One-stop shop, which is what we want. And we'll show you how to do that. We'll spend a class on horizontal navigation and horizontal drop-down menus, okay? All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to start with what they refer to as the jump start method. Okay? All right, so here's what we're going to do. First things I want you to do. And I want you to go up and I want you to go to File. And I want you to go to New. So when you go File, New, you'll be prompted with this window right here. Okay? This window right here, File, New. All right? This gives us the ability to choose what kind of a document we would like to make. Okay? Now, everything we do in this class is going to be HTML. So we know that it's going to be an HTML document. Okay? So that is right there. There we're good. Okay? We're going to start with just a regular blank page. Slow down. Just 1 second. Right? But one of the things that we're going to do is we are going to use the jump start, and we're going to use the jump start layout. And if you notice, we got 2 choices. We got a 2-column fixed right sidebar header footer, or we got a 3-column fixed header footer. Okay? See that? We have 2 choices to choose from, whatever we would like. All right. Now, if we wanted to replicate what we see in front of us, meaning we want to replicate this green start, right? Which one would you choose? It does, it does, it does. It does, it does, it does. Which one would you choose? And it doesn't really matter either. It truly doesn't. One of the things that I would do is I would probably choose 3-column. It doesn't necessarily matter. The other way you can do is you can change the other column, you just change the side that we have set up, the right side to left side. So it really doesn't matter. So let's just take the 3-column fixed header footer, right? And let's create that up. Right? So 3-column will be a blank document, and here you go. And this is what you end up seeing. Has everybody got this? Awesome. Isn't that great? Isn't that cool? All right, cool. Good, good, good. All right, first thing I want you to do now, since we've created this document, is let's save it. Okay? Now, a couple of little things I want you to get used to doing. You don't have to start doing it now, but at some point in time, we will start doing it. Here's the thing. When we work in this class, we're going to be working on multiple files. And what I mean when I say multiple files, I mean this. Is that this page that you see right here in front of us, okay, is really only one document. But further on down the road, it's going to have what we refer to as related files. Okay? Those related files are going to be needed to make this document work. Okay? Your cascading style sheet, related file. Okay? Whatever else we end up doing, with a couple other things that we're going to do, if we use any jQuery scripts, whatever it is, those are all related files. So what I want you to get into a habit of doing is this. You can hit, at any point in time, hit Command S. The Command S will save it. Okay? And there's no problem doing that. Alright? One of the things I do want to show you is if we go up to File, one of the things you'll notice when you go about halfway down or almost halfway down is you'll find what's called Save All. Okay? As we start to work on multiple files that are related to this particular file, you may have 1 or 2 or 3 files open, and every one of those 1 or 2 or 3 files that are open will have an asterisk next to it, meaning that it's been changed. Now you'll notice that this particular document doesn't have an asterisk because we haven't changed it. We're just saving it for the first time. But it'll be helpful if you remember to save all, because that way, when we get to that point, you will have the proper understanding of why we do that. All right, so if we hit Command S to save it, it'll automatically come up and say, okay, fine, save as, and now we will just go ahead and we'll pick a name for it. Okay? Here's another thing I want to show you really quick. If we pull this window up, all right, one of the things I want to show you here is down at the bottom right-hand side, left-hand side, all for left. Down at the bottom left-hand side, you will see a site root button. Okay, you see that site root button? If ever you go to save something, and this happens, I've done it numerous times myself, when you start to work in multiple folders or multiple files with multiple programs, what tends to happen is sometimes when you go to save stuff, you are no longer saving it to where it needs to be saved, or the proper individual directory. Okay? You go outside to get a different file that you're going to use and bring it into Dreamweaver for whatever the purpose is. So all I'm saying is that if by whatever the rule is or whatever the situation is that you're going through, if something doesn't look right or you just don't feel comfortable, okay, you can always select site root and it will automatically take you back to your site root. So you never have to worry about not saving these files in your site root because you have to save these in your site root. Okay? If these are not saved in your site root, then what ends up happening is the file path is incorrect, and it may look okay on these computers here, but if you were to take it elsewhere or go somewhere, and it by chance got saved to the C drive or whatever drive here, then you don't have it on your jump drive. So that if you were to go work on it somewhere else and open it up, it's not there, it's still here. So the file path would be to whatever this computer is, and you would be able to open it up because that exists. Right? So point being is that we need to make sure that all of these files end up in the right place. So if it looks like it may not be the right place, and it doesn't do anything, I mean literally you could go in every time you work and hit the site root button, every time. Right? But you're probably in your site root anyway. But just to be on the safe side, so you know, there it is, site root. Doesn't look right, site root. And then you can see that it'll say lesson 4. If it doesn't say, if somebody's got something that doesn't say lesson 4, then you're not in your site root. And you just go ahead and hit site root and save it up. Alright? Next thing, here we go. We're going to name this. Alright? Okay. So we're going to name this, and we're going to name this first page. The reason why we're going to name it first page is because it's the first page you're going to create. Okay? So, first things first. Okay? Name first page. Okay? Good. And one of the things we want to make sure is that we don't have any what? No spaces. Excellent answer. We cannot have spaces. Computers don't like spaces. No spaces. Okay? One of the things that you'll notice a lot of times is that you ever see like the, like you'll pull something up on the web, and for some odd reason, if you were to take a look at the URL or whatever it is for that particular file, it said like 20%, you know, like 20% sign and stuff like Sometimes that's how it reads a space. Okay? So if you've got something that says, like if I was to put, happens a lot with PDFs, because it still reads PDFs. Like you can put just about any name you want in the world, as long as it ends up being .pdf, you'll find it. You don't have to pull it up and be able to see it, no problem. But you will notice that if there is a space, it'll say like 20 and then a % sign. That's the space that's between the two words, right? So if it was first document, and then first space document, it would say like first and then 20% and then, document.pdf. Those are spaces. We don't like spaces, no spaces, all right? The other thing being is that this is also, as we like to refer to, case sensitive, right? So whatever you have, make sure it's the same. All right, so we'll name it first spaces. See what's on my mind. All right, let's do this. First page .html, and then we'll just click save. And there it is. You'll notice automatically, as soon as I do that, the tab now goes from untitled document 1 to first page. Right? Beyond the realm of every page having to have a title, as I've said, every page also must have a proper name. Okay, so there will be no untitled documents as far as names go for the file itself, and there will also be no untitled documents as far as the title tag goes. So you can see where it says untitled document here, your title tag up at the top and middle, a little left and middle. We need to change that, right? We need to come up with a title for this document, which is basically a synopsis, short synopsis or headline, of what this particular page is about. Okay? I'm just simply going to type in I'm going to put in Green Start Corporation. And that's just because that's the individual template or the individual file that's what it is. It's Green Start Corporation. So I'm just putting that in. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that, but I'll just enter that in and we're good. You can put in whatever you want. It's just a matter that you understand that we have to do this for any and every individual document. Okay, as soon as I do that, I want you to take a look at my document up here. And as soon as you do it, I want you to take a look at your document. And I want you to notice what you see in the top right-hand corner of the tab that specifies the name of this particular document. It will now say first page.html, and then you will have your asterisk. Okay? Your asterisk means that there has been a change made to the document, and that change has not been saved. Okay? Now, a couple of the wonderful things about Dreamweaver is you cannot close a document without having saved it, or at least having Dreamweaver say, hey, you're closing a document, do you want to save it? Okay? So you don't have to worry about closing that particular document and not having a chance to save it. Dreamweaver will allow you to do that. This is not, of course, true when it comes to computer crashes, as in everything. Computer crash, you don't get your saves. Sorry, let me do that. Now, it doesn't crash a whole lot, but everybody's computer crashes at some point in time, right? It just happens. So, one of the things that you might want to get in the habit of doing is just every once in a while, if you're working on it, just quickly hitting Command S, save it up, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay? All right. Now, the one thing that you'll notice that happens is that when you do this and do this a lot, if you happen to ever walk by and notice my computer, my command keys are all busted up because it's the keyboard shortcut for everything. That's the key to everything. So your command keys will go down because of the simple fact of overuse. All right, so there you go. Okay, good. So we've got it saved. You can see the asterisk is gone. First page.html. We are good. All right, here's what I want to do. Let's take a look at this guy. And let's go into split view. And take a look at split view. And one of the things you'll notice in split view is that the beginnings of this particular Jumpstart layout page that we have are very similar to what we had in the Green Start document, correct? Right, that CSS is pretty similar. It looks primarily the same or very close. We've got a lot of the same stuff. You can see that we've got our links. If we look at this particular document live, the first page.html live, you'll notice that we do have rollovers on it the same. One of the things that you'll notice with this is that we do not have what we refer to as the horizontal navigation going across the top, right? You do not see horizontal navigation or separation between the header tag and where the content is. You do not see that, correct? All right, so let's click out of live view. Then let's take a look here and let's see what else we got. Now, if you'll take a look, it'll give you a brief description of how to use this document. Be aware that the CSS for these layouts is heavily commented. That's what we discussed before. You'll take a look and notice that there's a lot of great code in there to help you out. All right? If you do most of your work in design view, have a peek at the code to get tips on working with the CSS for the FIS layouts. You can remove these comments before you launch your site. As I said, the comment code does not need to be there. We can get rid of that, and we will get rid of that. But one of the things that will end up happening is this. We will take all of those individual CSS rules that are being applied. We're going to externally attach it anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter. All right, to learn more about techniques using CSS layouts, read this article at Adobe's Developer Center. All right? Okay. It talks about the clearing method because all the columns are floated. This layout uses what's called a clear both declaration in the footer rule. The clearing technique forces the container to understand where the column ends in order to show any borders or background colors that you have placed in the container. If your design requires you to remove the footer from the container, you'll need to use a different clearing method. The most reliable will be to add a break class clear float or a div class clear float. After final floated column, but before the column closes, this will have the same effect. We won't worry about the clear float for the time being because what we're going to do is we're going to set it up to be slightly different. Right? Okay. And to understand what basically the clear float that they're using here means is that because the columns are floated, meaning that one column is floated left and the other column is floated right. Okay? All right? Okay? This, the layout uses a clear both declaration for the footer rule, basically stating this footer has got a clear both, meaning that it's got to clear both the right and the left to be put in place. Does that make sense? Okay? Perfect sense. Because the two are floated. Because we may have one of them, as you can see right here, one of them is larger than the other or longer than the other. You see that? See how this is longer than the other? But what ends up happening is that we don't want to set a specific size for it because this may grow, and as long as this continues to grow, then the footer will continue to be pushed down and clear both of those depending on whatever one is larger. But we don't like that, and we don't like that for this reason and this reason only. You take a look at this really quick. One thing that you see that I'm not fond of, and you may be, and that's fine, and if you are fond, that's awesome. But one thing that you do see is you see a finality here. You see where this ends. Right? You can see where the one particular layout ends, or where the one particular aside or left side, right side ends, and where the other document is. It's a contrasted color from brown to white. Right? We don't like that. We like things to flow seamlessly. Okay? We don't like to see where something ends abruptly and something else begins. So one of the things that we will work at is we will work at building what we refer to as a faux column. So we'll build a fake column that will essentially be as big as need be so that we never have the problem of seeing where one ends and the white picks back up. Because in my world, where I like to live, this continues all the way down, and it is one color without the tan and white. Right? It's personal preference. If you like the way this looks, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So let's go back out of live view. Click out of live view. Okay. And here's the first thing that we would do. The first thing I would do looking at this, if we wanted to start to make this look like the other document that we were going to create that is there, right? Okay. First thing is that the other document only had one column. We have two, right? Okay. We have two columns. We have a left and a right. We want to get rid of one of them. So let's get rid of that the right column where it says backgrounds. So if we were to come in and select the right column, okay, just select the right column, select the whole right column, make sure that you get the box out around it and all the text. The easiest way to do this for you guys is this. Let me show you real quick. The easiest way to do this is click your cursor anywhere inside of the column, okay? And when you click your cursor anywhere inside of the column, on the bottom left-hand side, you will notice that you now, if you come down here to our tag selector, that the tag that we're in is a paragraph tag, but the next move outside of that tag is what's called an aside. So if we click on the aside, look what happens. We click on the aside, and all of a sudden we now have everything. We have the text, and we have the box itself. This is the tag selector. Tag selector makes it very easy if you want to select the whole tag. Okay? So if we were here, I want you now to take a look at the left-hand side and notice what you see inside of your code view. When we look inside of our code view, we now see the aside that we have in place. Right? We have the HTML for that particular code. It's all right there. It has the name of it, it has the heading, it has the H4, and it's got all the individual paragraph information. Right? Now, we come up and automatically hit delete. Look what happens. It is gone. Okay? That is gone. Correct? Right? Okay. Now, here's something to keep in mind. It had a certain amount of pixels that it was taking up. Right? Everybody understands that? Okay? Because we are using this particular layout is set up with fixed amounts. Okay? We discussed fixed amounts, basically saying that if a particular column is 180 pixels wide, then it is 180 pixels wide, and that's it. Okay? If I have a container in the middle that is 600 pixels wide, then it's 600 pixels wide, no matter what. So what we would have to do here is we would have to expand the content here to make it larger. Okay? And we will do that, so don't worry about that. That's one of the things that we will do. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is this, and we'll show you here in a second, but we are working with fixed numbers. So point being is that fixed number that we're working with has to encompass everything that's involved. So it has to encompass the margin, the border, the padding, and the physical side. Okay? So what I'm saying is this. You have, say I can take this particular box here, and I want that box. I have 600 available pixels of width that I can use, right? Okay, like I can make the box 600 if I want. That's as big as I can make it. Okay, but say I want a border of 5 pixels around the box. Okay, right? I want a border of 5 pixels around that box. So what is actually the maximum amount of width that I could use? 590, exactly. And it's 590 because we've got 5 pixels of border on both sides. That's going to take up room. Okay? Understand that? Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that just keep in mind when we're working fixed that we are fixed, and it's everything. It's all, because what's going to happen is as we start to do some work, right? What you're going to notice is that when we start working with stuff that's floated, it's a float left that we have set up, meaning that when we put something in, it's going to float to the left of that. Okay? So when we do that, if this particular window or this particular wherever it's floating against is too wide, it's going to shove it to the bottom. Okay? And it'll make it go below there. Right? Which we don't want. Okay? And we'll show you right now. Okay, so let's do this. So, well, first thing is, okay, first rule is here we go. So if we wanted to make this larger so it took up a whole entire container, okay, that's what we wanted to do. The first thing we have to do is figure out what? Well, we have to figure out what is the number that we can use, right? That's what we have to figure out. That's where we have to start. So here's what we would do. First thing we would do is, as always, let's come up here to our window. Let's come up here to our properties. Oops, sorry, not properties, my bad. Oops. Come up here to our window. Come up here to our CSS Designer. And let's take a look at our CSS Designer. Okay? All right. So, right now, because my cursor is selecting the class content, that is what I have up there for the rules, right? You can see that. Specifies that the width of this particular container that I'm working on, the class for this container, is 600 pixels, right? Everybody see that? Okay, good. Let's do this. I gotta stop the computer, otherwise these files will be too big. So let's take, since it's 7:20 right now, let's take 5 to 7 minutes, take a break, and then when we come back in, it's a good place to break anyway, because then we'll get right back in. So I can shut this down, and I can start up a new one, and we go from there. Let's take 5 to 7 minutes and take a little break, and then we'll come back in. All right? Good, good, good.